Hello everyone and welcome. I'm excited to start our journey with Mega Goal 2.1. Today we'll be focusing on Unit 2, Crime Doesn't Pay, and exploring writing skills related to this important topic. Over the course of this presentation, we'll cover key concepts, vocabulary, and some practical writing tips. So let's get started and see what we can learn together. Let's talk about a detective character you might be familiar with. This detective is known for their sharp instincts and keen observation skills. They often solve complex cases that seem impossible at first glance. Now, in a typical crime story, there are three main elements we usually see. First, there's the crime itself, like a theft or a mysterious disappearance. Second, we have the suspects, people who might have committed the crime. And third, there's the evidence, clues that help the detective piece everything together. By understanding these elements, we can better analyze any story or case. This connects directly to our overall theme of problem-solving and critical thinking. Now, let's keep these points in mind as we move forward in the presentation. So, looking at this picture, what do you think he is doing? Take a moment to observe his actions. Is he working, playing, or maybe studying? Now, who do you think the person might be? Is he a student, a professional, or perhaps someone else? This slide is a warm-up to get us thinking about the different activities people do and how we can interpret their actions just from a picture. Remember, understanding these cues helps us better appreciate the context and the story behind each image. As we go through this presentation, keep these questions in mind. They'll help us connect the dots as we explore the broader themes. So, what exactly is this title referring to? Well, here we're trying to understand the core idea behind the phrase itself. It's about unpacking the meaning and significance of the words we see. Essentially, we're asking, what does this title tell us about the topic? It's a way to connect the title to the broader theme of our presentation. By doing this, we can better grasp why this particular phrase was chosen and how it frames the discussion. Remember, the title often sets the tone and hints at the key message we're aiming to explore throughout the session. So, understanding what it refers to helps us stay focused and aligned with the main ideas we're trying to convey. Read as long as you listen. This slide emphasizes the importance of active listening and effective communication. When we truly listen, we're not just waiting for our turn to speak, we're engaging with the speaker and understanding their message deeply. It's about giving our full attention, which helps build trust and rapport. Listening carefully also allows us to catch nuances and underlying emotions that words alone might not reveal. This skill is especially crucial in professional settings, where miscommunication can lead to errors or misunderstandings. Remember, effective communication isn't just about speaking well, it's equally about listening well. By practicing attentive listening, we not only enhance our understanding, but also demonstrate respect and openness to others' perspectives. This connects to the broader theme of building stronger, more collaborative relationships, whether in the workplace or in everyday life. So, the reason he acted quickly was because he heard someone enter the house, and he was understandably worried about getting arrested. He knew that staying hidden was the best option in that moment. During the investigation, the police found a cell phone that didn't belong to anyone in the family. It was plugged into a socket, which suggested it had been recently used or left behind intentionally. One of the police officers took the step to call a contact saved in the phone's memory. That call led to the man being identified. This shows how small details, like a cell phone, can be crucial in connecting the dots and identifying suspects. It's a reminder of how important attention to detail is in investigations, tying back to our overall theme of thorough and strategic police work. So, imagine a burglar breaking into a home. That's the final event we're focusing on. But what really draws us in is understanding what led up to that moment. What were the circumstances, the motivations, and the clues that set everything in motion? By starting with this dramatic event, we can better grasp the sequence of actions and the underlying reasons behind it. It's a way to raise your interest and set the stage for exploring the causes and consequences that connect to our overall theme. Remember, understanding the why behind such events helps us see the bigger picture and learn how to prevent similar situations in the future. So, in this case, police officers acted quickly after the crime occurred. They had an idea of where to start looking, and they got in touch with witnesses and other sources to gather information. Thanks to their efforts, they were able to identify the suspect. Once they had a clear lead, they arrested him and charged him with 12 burglaries. This example highlights how important it is for law enforcement to work systematically, from gathering initial information to making arrests. It also shows how crucial it is to follow through with all the investigative steps, like collecting prints and clues, which ultimately led to identifying the man responsible. This process underscores the overall theme of how effective investigation techniques can solve crimes and bring offenders to justice. Now let's look at some passive forms. For example, in the sentence, "a burglar was arrested," we see how the focus is on the burglar and the act of arresting, rather than on who did the arresting. Similarly, we have "the man was identified" and "was arrested" or "charged." These passive structures are useful because they help us emphasize the person or the event being described, rather than the agent performing the action. In this context, the passive form shifts the attention to the burglar or the crime itself. It implies that the police investigated, caught, and charged the suspect, but those details are understood without needing to specify the police as the subject. This approach allows us to focus on what happened, which is often the main point. So, in summary, passive forms are a handy tool in our language, especially when we want to highlight the action or the person involved, rather than the doer of the action. This connects to the overall theme of how we structure sentences to emphasize different parts of a story or report. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. So, to give you another example of how hackers can impact real-world systems, here's a case from 2014 in San Francisco. The hackers managed to get access to the road signs temporarily, and quite creatively, changed all of them to display "Godzilla attack, turn back." It was a bold move that clearly grabbed people's attention. This incident was carried out by groups of hackers who demonstrated their ability to manipulate critical infrastructure, even if just for a short period. What's important to note here is the scale of their impact, altering traffic signs that are essential for safety and navigation. It highlights how vulnerable our systems can be when proper security isn't in place. And when we think about the bigger picture of cybersecurity threats, this example underscores the importance of protecting even seemingly simple systems like road signs, because they can be exploited to cause confusion or panic. This case reminds us that cyber threats aren't just about data breaches. They can also directly affect public safety and trust. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. When you're writing an article, a story, or even for newspapers and magazines, following a clear set of steps can really make the process smoother and more effective. First, it's important to plan your content carefully. Think about what message you want to convey and who your audience is. This helps you stay focused and relevant. Next, organize your ideas logically. Whether you're telling a story or reporting facts, a good structure keeps your readers engaged and makes your message easier to understand. Remember to include an engaging introduction to grab attention, a well-developed body to provide details, and a strong conclusion to leave a lasting impression. As you write, highlight the key concepts that support your main message. This not only emphasizes what's important, but also helps your audience follow along more easily. Connecting your points to the overall theme of your presentation reinforces your message and creates a cohesive narrative. Ultimately, whether you're writing an article, a story, or a magazine piece, these steps ensure your content is clear, engaging, and impactful. Keeping the audience in mind and organizing your thoughts effectively are the keys to successful writing. All right, let's take a look at this final slide. Here, we're referring to workbook page 234, Exercise K. This is your homework assignment. The key point here is to reinforce what we've covered today by working through this exercise. It's a great way to solidify your understanding and ensure you're comfortable with the concepts. Remember, practicing these exercises helps you connect theory to real-world application, which is essential for mastering the material. I encourage you to approach this homework thoughtfully. Don't rush through it. Take your time to understand each step and how it relates to the overall theme of our presentation, which is about applying these concepts effectively in practice. So, when you're working on this, keep in mind the main ideas we've discussed and see how they come together in this exercise. It's not just about completing the task, but about truly engaging with the content. That's how you'll get the most out of this learning experience.